Hey guys, so today I decided to make a video on what emetophobia is. For those of you that don't know what it is a phobia of sick, and it's what I suffer with as a mental health patient or person or whatever you call me, I don't know. But I suffer with a phobia of sick, and that's where most of my anxiety stems from. So I suffer with OCD, agoraphobia sometimes, generalised anxiety, but all of it comes back to emetophobia. So all of it stems from the fact that I'm scared of being sick, and that's just what it is. And it's quite strange that lots of things can all go back to just being scared of being sick, and that's what a phobia is, I suppose. Something that's quite irrational and makes you feel very, very anxious and not good. Emetophobia is one of the most common phobias in the world, and it's actually one of the most debilitating phobias in the world. People that suffer with emetophobia are really quite controlled by it, and it's something that really, really controls their mind and makes them very irrational. Like most phobias, but emetophobia kind of has a big control over you. When I was in therapy a few years ago, I remember my therapist told me a story. I don't think I've mentioned the story on my channel, but if I have, I'm sorry, but that's the way it is, I'm going to tell it again. Basically, he told me a story about a woman that one of his friends was seeing for emetophobia, and she said that one day she was in the car and she was on the motorway or something, and she had a car full of like her friends and family, and somebody in the back was about to be sick, and so she was so close to like crashing the car and just jumping out, because she would literally rather have died and have everyone die, and she would have rather have died than been sick. Luckily she managed to pull over and stuff like that, so everyone was fine. But I remember thinking at the time, like, I would do that. I would literally rather die than be sick. Like, I would genuinely, I know people say that all the time, but I genuinely would rather die than be sick, because it's just the most horrific thing I could think of. And it was quite scary and quite sad when I thought like that, because I knew that if I said that to anybody, they'd be like, well, no, you wouldn't rather die. I'd be like, no, yeah, I would rather die, because I really, really don't want it to happen. My emetophobia got me to the point where I just could barely move. I was scared of burping, because like obviously the burping sensation is kind of like comes up and it's quite scary, and I even don't like talking about this because I get quite anxious about it. But yeah, that was really scary for me. Like, I couldn't, any kind of sensation in my tummy or throat that wasn't like completely normal and like would happen most of the time, I would just freak out about, and it would lead to like panic attacks, and it was just really scary. Like, everything stems back to that. Like, I was scared of people going to the toilet in the middle of the night, and I still am scared of that. I don't like when people go to the toilet in the middle of the night because I'm scared they're being sick. I don't like hearing people cough because I'm scared they're being sick. I used to not be able to cope with people being sick at parties, so if they drank too much, but now I'm alright with that because I know they're just being sick because they're drunk and I can't catch that. But if somebody around me has told me they were sick recently, I don't like it. If I see that somebody on Instagram or Twitter was sick, then I don't like it, and I kind of feel funny with them, and it's just really silly because like I know they've not done anything wrong, but that's just how I feel. I just can't deal with sick in any way, shape or form. And I know a lot of people must feel like that as well, because it is a really common phobia, apparently, according to the internet. Like, but it's just so debilitating, and everything is linked to that. Like, I can't go on holiday because I'm scared I'll be sick on a plane. For a long time I couldn't do anything at all because I was just so scared of being sick. I think that's the difference between a phobia and a fear. Like, a phobia makes you so irrational and dictates your life and makes you not want to do things, and a fear just kind of makes you feel a bit uncomfortable when you're exposed to the certain fear. So if you're scared of spiders, you would see a spider and you'd freak out a little bit and you wouldn't like being in the same room as a spider. If you had a phobia of spiders, you wouldn't go outside because you were scared that you'd see a spider, or you wouldn't go to the toilet because you were scared there was I don't know, you know what I mean. Like, it makes you do things that aren't linked to that. Like, spiders and toilets aren't linked, but somebody with a phobia of spiders, they are, and everything's linked to spiders, and it's just the way it is, and it's really difficult, but that's the way it is. I think I first realised that I had emetophobia when I would talk about my fear of flying. So I wasn't scared of the plane crashing, I wasn't scared of the people on board, I wasn't scared of landing in water. Like most fears, that they are to do with the plane, the fact that you're up in the sky, all those kind of things. But for me, it was that I was scared of being sick and not being able to get off the plane. I didn't like the fact that when you get on the plane, you've got 3 hours and you can't get off, and if I was sick, then what would I do? And that's when I realised, okay, that's not really the reason most people don't like flying. I just don't like sick. And I thought, well, most things that I don't like lead back to the fact that I don't like sick and I'm scared of sick. And then I just kind of started thinking about it and I realised, I think I have a phobia of sick. I think that's what's making me so scared of everything. And so I wanted to make this video to kind of share with you the way I found emetophobia. I've been diagnosed with lots of different anxiety disorders, but I've never been diagnosed with emetophobia. But I know that's what I have. I know that's what I have. I know I have a phobia of sick, and I know that's what I suffer with. But doctors have said for years, like, it's this, you've got this kind of anxiety, this kind of anxiety, this kind of anxiety, and a million and one different things. But it's actually, I've diagnosed myself, and I know that's what I have, because sick freaks me out a lot, and that's what everything in my life stems back to. So I think a lot of the time doctors don't know everything. I think you need to remember doctors don't know everything, and it's okay for you to realise you have something, and you should go to your doctor though. I have gone to my doctor and said, I think I have emetophobia, and they've been like, yeah, I think you do, after I'd explained my symptoms and stuff like that. So you probably want to get a proper diagnosis and go to the doctor and say, I think I have this is how I feel all the time, and this is what I'm scared of. Do you think I have it? And get a second opinion. It's great to do that, but doctors aren't in your brain, so they don't know exactly what you're thinking all the time. And actually, a couple of times I've been to the doctor, they've never heard of emetophobia. They're not trained in a million and one different phobias. Think how many phobias there are in the world. They don't know about every single one, and it's fair enough to them that they don't know everything about different phobias. So go along and say, you think you have that? If you do, I think it's good to get a diagnosis, because the more you know about your own anxiety, the more it's easier to diagnose and then treat. So if you know that you have emetophobia or fear of sick or fear of anything, whatever it is, go to the doctors and let them know that's what you think you have, and then it'll be easy for them to treat, easier for you to treat, and you'll know what to talk about when you go to therapy, all the rest of that. Something interesting that I have actually found out, I can't remember if it was a therapist that told me, I can't really remember, but they said that a phobia of sick isn't actually always a phobia of sick, which was kind of weird for them to say. I didn't expect that, I didn't really know what they meant, but what they meant was it's a phobia of being not in control. No matter how hard we try not to be sick, it will happen maybe. It might happen one day, and you can't really always control it, although we go to extreme lengths to control it by hand washing and by avoiding people with germs and not touching things that are gross. All the rest of that will help us not be sick, but sometimes it just happens. Touch wood, doesn't happen. But it might happen, and that's what I think scares most people, is that you can't be in control of it. Like, as much as you try to control it, there are certain things in life that you can't control, and I was told that that's what actually you're scared of, is the thing that you can't control. Most things in life you can control. You can control how much you eat, how much you drink, you can control whether you want to walk somewhere, run somewhere, you can control what you say. All these things you can control, but you can't control certain things, and that's quite a scary thought, I think. And that's apparently why most people have a phobia of sick, because I can't really remember a time where I had an extreme case of like sick and I was really, really unwell. I don't want to talk about it at all, but I don't think I've had a traumatic experience, although they seem very, very traumatic to me. But I found that very interesting, and I think it's something that's, the more you understand about emetophobia, the more you know about it, the easier it is for yourself to kind of get to terms with and kind of realise, okay, if this is about control, how do I feel like I'm more in control, and try and get different tips and advice on how to feel more in control. The worst thing for me about emetophobia is definitely, I know I've spoken about this, but it's definitely that everything in my life is dictated by it. I can't do everything in my life that I can't do. It's because of my fear of sick, and it's just really hard. Like, it's just really, really difficult, and I'm not gonna lie, like, it's just really hard to deal with. But I want everybody to realise, no matter what it is, no matter what phobia you suffer with, I've only suffered with one phobia, emetophobia, it is curable. Although I am not cured, obviously, from the way I've been talking, I am better than I used to be. I now have a job, which is something that I didn't think I'd be able to do with emetophobia. Actually, my job is working with alcohol, which is something that some emetophobics find really, really, really stressful. I still can't go out running because I'm scared if I run too much then I'll be sick. I still can't travel very well, although I'm going to have to do that soon, which is probably another video completely. But I can stay over at my boyfriend's house, which is something I'd like to do. He can't stay here either in case I can't sleep and then I'm sick the next day. You know, it's just like things like that just like get to me a lot. You can get cured, and the way to getting better is little tiny baby steps that might seem like nothing to anybody else, but they are a lot to you, and that is the way to get better. I live by that, I swear by that. That is the way to get better, is just by doing teeny tiny little things that you wouldn't think would make you better, but they do. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I know it was kind of like just me chatting about emetophobia, but that's what I wanted to do in this video. I hope that maybe somebody out there has been helped by this. If you think that you have a condition, a mental health condition, but you're not quite sure, go to your doctor. I know they're not always the know-its. I know they don't always know everything about mental health and stuff, but it's better than nothing. And talk to people about it. Write it down if you want to. Do what it is that you do to make yourself feel better. And thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye!